Hello, guys. Excuse me. Hello, guys. Good morning. We'll get started here in just a sec. I know a few people that are trying to get in. Trina's in. Nice. I was waiting for her. Good. I have 4 of you here, but I'm only showing 2, so let's see if this will refresh. All right, today we're going to be covering Dotloop, so we'll give it another minute or so. All right, hopefully you guys can see my screen. If you can't, let me know. Type it in the chat. Okay, let's get started here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's training. It's going to be on Dotloop. I was hoping Laura Taylor would be in here. Maybe she'll get this sent out to her. So, Dotloop. It's what we use for our contract writing. Also is our paperless document storage. Also has all of our forms built into it. Okay. Now, Marion, you guys might be a little bit different in St. George. They might not have templates and stuff like that for you already done, but I can show you where to go to get the forms and the documents that you need. Okay. So when you first log into mykw.kw.com, it will bring you to this panel. There's 2 ways you can get to Dotloop. One is if you're already in here, you can hit Start My E-Transactions. That will take you directly into your Dotloop account. Okay? Or you can just come into a new tab here and go to dotloop.com and you can just sign in. Okay, I'm already signed in this way as well. So either way you can get to it. Okay? Now, when you guys first log into Dotloop, notice how the background colors are black and red like the Keller Williams colors. If you log in and they're blue and white, then we need to get you connected to Dotloop and call them and get you switched over. And the way you do that is you go all the way to the bottom of the page. You call Dotloop at this phone number right here. I have so many loops in here. So it's the 513 number 257-0551. You're going to give them your member ID number, which is right here. And in Arizona, you're going to tell them that you're with Market Center 161 and Shane Dodd is your managing broker. Now, if you're in St. George and you have this issue, it is going to be, if you look right here, Marion, when you go to mykw.kw, see how it says Market Center 161? You will see yours there. I don't know what your guys' market number is there. Okay? and then you just tell them who your managing broker is, and then they can get you switched over. Okay? So that's first of all how we get to Dotloop. Okay? Now, when we want to start a transaction in Dotloop, okay, most of you when you first come in are going to look something like this with these round circles. To me, because I keep track of everybody's transaction, this is too cluttered and clunky for me. Okay, there's too much going on. I don't like it. It doesn't stay organized. Now, for when you just have a couple, it's okay, but I like the list view, the way that I had it before. To me, I can see the addresses more clearly and I can do what I need to do. Whatever you prefer. Okay, now, one thing I want you to notice is people get worried when they look in their loop and they see that this says other real estate or under contract or not under contract right here, pre-listing. This has nothing to do with your MLS listing on the MLS. All this is for Dotloop organization purposes, mainly for our transaction manager. She sees that this is a listing for sale and it's under contract. She can see that it's active. Now, when a listing closes, we will be the ones who come in here and make this sold, or if it cancels, archived. Okay? Now, if a deal, you submit an offer or you just want to clear it out of yours and we already have closed it, it's been in there for a month or something, and you want to archive it, you can mark it archived. Hang on one sec. Sorry about that, guys. I had to take that call. It's about one of my listings that I have going on. So, if you want to clean it up, let's say it's sold, leased, or archived. After it's been a while and we haven't marked it, you can go ahead and archive it. Or let's say you started typing up a contract and then decided not to go forward, you can archive that. But leave the sold one really to us if you would. Okay? One thing you'll notice here is, see how it says open and active? See how Hunter and Whitman is closed? Well, this is closed on our end. It says closed on our end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that as sold. The next time I refresh this, that will be gone. So it was right here. Notice that Hunter is gone there. Okay. Now, the big one that you guys really want to see is when you have a property that's closed. I don't see any that are on here. Okay, so Hardin closed, but if you see a big old hold check right here in big capital letters, that means that there's something missing in your file and they're not going to release your check. They put a hold check on it right there. That's the one to be concerned with. That's when you're going to want to get in touch with Vicki. I'm sure Vicki had probably already emailed you and let you know what you needed, but definitely check with her. That way we can put a call into the office and find out what we need to do to get your check released if you've already submitted something. Okay? All right. Now, let's go ahead and start by adding a new loop. Okay? So I'm going to write a new offer for a buyer. All right? What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to hit create a loop. We name our loops. If you notice, they're all named by addresses. You can put the name afterwards, that doesn't matter, but we want to see the address first, okay? So we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, North Mickey Mouse Street, Gilbert. Okay? Now, in Arizona, we have some templates that are already done for us, but they're not complete, but they have most of the forms in there. We select the template and we come and find out what we want. If it's a listing, a resale template. We're only going to use templates, not shells. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. We're only going to use templates, not shells. And so we're going to set resale listing template, but we're going to look for resale contract template because that's the buyer template. So we're going to click on that and we're going to hit create loop. Now, when you were typing in that address there, if it was a valid address, it would have popped up, and it would, if it's already listed on the MLS, it's going to ask you to import the MLS data. Hit yes on that because it'll save you some time down the road because it'll bring in some of the data from the MLS listing. Okay, so now here we are in our loop, and here are the forms that are needed in order to fill them out. Okay, these are what are needed on, possibly needed on a typical transaction. I didn't know I could have fall allergies, but lately I have. I apologize for that. All right. Now, what you're going to find in here is you're going to notice that it's missing a few documents that we need here in Arizona. Not sure about the Utah files, okay? So this is missing your agency. It's also missing your buyer's advisory, okay? You look here, you see, look for the buyer's advisory, and no, I don't see it. So I want to go and get these documents. So notice I'm going to come here, click add document. I'm going to get this. Now, I can pull a document in from my email. I can browse my computer because I saved it there. But if I hit templates, I should get some options here on the left. If it doesn't let you import these, then you're going to have to enter your NERDS number, which you get from when you first sign up. You'll have to enter it, and then it'll give you access to these forms. So right here, I'm going to look under the Armless Interactive Forms and Arizona Association. Okay, I know that those are where the forms are that I'm looking for. So if I scroll down here, here's the buyer's advisory. I'm going to check that box. It's also missing your READY form, residential real estate agency and disclosure and election form. Notice one's for buying, one's for listing. I'm going to select the one for the buyer. They're both the same form, so it doesn't really matter. I have the forms that I want. I'm going to hit copy. It will import those two forms. Hit OK. So now if I look here, here's my buyer's advisory. Here's my election. Okay. Let's say I want to incorporate the pre-qualification, which I scanned in. I'm going to browse from my computer. I'm going to go to downloads. Here's a pre-qualification letter right here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit open. Now it brought in that pre-qualification letter. Okay. All right. Now, if I click add document, it closes that window, opens that window. Okay. Let's say I want to rename the folder. I don't want it named sale folder. I am going to see these little three dots right here. These are more action items on these forms. So same thing on the folder. I want to click that. I want to rename the folder. Say I want to name it buyer folder or buyer one folder, because if it's a listing, sometimes you get multiple you get an offer, it doesn't go through, it cancels, then you have another folder, and we'll get to that in a second. But we want to name it buyer folder. We just hit enter. Now it's named buyer folder. Okay. If we import a document, like when we scan it and it has a bunch of numbers on it, same thing. You'll hit the dots, go to rename, and then you can rename that document. Okay? Now, what we're going to do next is we are going to actually come into here, click one of these forms. Now, what we want to do is, granted, they've already signed this, okay? This is a bad first one to open. Let me open a different one and I'll show you the option. Let's do the buyer's advisory. When you first open a document that's already in Dotloop, one that you haven't brought in from your email or your computer, notice how it says autofill. I can assign who I want it to automatically place. If you're only representing the buyer, only enter the buyer's information. Do not enter the seller's, because it'll prompt you to have the seller sign, which you're not representing the seller. Okay? So I'm going to assign buyer 1. Now I'm going to hit select person, but notice my buyer 1 isn't here. Okay? So I need to add a person. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start adding his name. Okay? So I'm going to enter his email because we're going to share these documents for him to sign. So I need his email. Role, he's the buyer, but if he was something different, we would change it. Okay, so we're going to leave him as the buyer. If you have his address and stuff handy, you can enter it here, and it will put it in later on page 9 of the contract. It'll auto-populate everything for you. But for now, that's all I want to do, and I want to go ahead and hit add person. Well, guess what? Mickey's married, right? So we're going to add his wife. He gets M-I-N-N-Y. I don't know. I was never a Disney person. Or is it E-Y? Anyway, I think either can work. But we can add her name there. We can add her email. They're the buyer. We can enter their other information, and we can hit add person. Once we've done that, now we hit autofill. So any document that we have that has their name on it, it's going to autofill them. So if I come down to the bottom of the buyer's advisory to where the signatures are, notice that they're already in place. All I'm going to do next is hit save and go to my next document because this one's ready to go. I hit save. I'm going to hit back. Now I'm going to come into my real estate agency disclosure and election form. My ready form. My buyers are already in place. The buying agent, I'm going to put me because I'm representing the buyer. And now all I'm going to do is hit autofill. Well, now look what it does. It autofilled my name, our brokerage, which one thing please remember, here in Arizona, we are Keller Williams Realty East Valley. In St. George, you are Keller Williams Realty St. George. Be sure to put the whole thing on there. Now, when you're representing the buyer, let's talk about this form a little bit. Whole lot of stuff in it, but when you're representing the buyer, the boxes you're going to check are the first box, represent the buyer as the buyer's broker, because that's what you're doing. Now, don't ever check all 3. It's either 2 or 1, never all 3. The third box states that you're going to show the buyer a listing that you, excuse me, that you or your company has. Okay, so that means that here in the luxury group, one of my agents on here has a listing that this allows me to represent them in the form of limited representation. Okay, seller, never all 3. Okay, if you're representing the seller, it's line 41. If you are going to show buyers your property or other offices, then you need to do 42 as well. And be sure you select the box there. Somebody came in and I'm the only one here. Let me see who it is real quick. Hang on. Hello? Jamie. Hi, Jamie. All right. Be sure you check one of these boxes here on who you're representing. We're done with this form. We hit save. We're going to start getting into the good forms here in just a sec. All right. Now let's come to the residential purchase contract. We're going to enter this form. Once again, we're going to assign these roles. The buyers are already in there. The buyer's agent is in there. But the listing agent, who's the listing agent? Well, let's just pretend that I'm not representing the buyer on this one. I'm doing the listing agent. We'll select that as well. You can put title in here. You can put everything that you possibly can put in here. Okay. You can. I don't really go through this part of it. I just do it as I go on the contract. But if you were to put the property address or the MLS number right here, it would auto-populate it. Okay. I usually stop there, come here and hit autofill.